A rainy night, an exhausted single mom behind the wheel, picking up a mysterious drunk stranger who turns out to be a millionaire CEO. One simple act of kindness sparks an irresistible attraction, turning her world upside down with passion, heartbreak, and a love that defies all odds. Get ready for a story that will leave you breathless. Welcome to Soul Food Channel, where heartwarming tales are consistently unraveled. Spread the warmth. Share this video with a friend who needs a reminder that love finds us in unexpected ways. The rain pounded relentlessly all night, transforming the city streets into shimmering rivers of blurred headlights. Ava Thompson gripped the steering wheel tightly, her hands weary from endless hours of driving. Her captivating hazel eyes, framed by soft blonde waves that cascaded over her shoulders, scanned the road ahead, while her toned, slim hourglass figure shifted slightly in the seat, exuding a quiet strength honed from years of perseverance. Midnight had long passed, but her shift dragged on, rent loomed large, and there was milk to buy for breakfast. She glanced at the app one last time. One final ride couldn't hurt. Her request pinged, a priority pickup at the opulent Astra Grand Hotel, the city's crown jewel of luxury. She sighed at the relentless downpour but tapped accept. High-end clients often tipped generously, and she needed every cent. Ava lived in a weathered apartment on the city's outskirts, juggling grueling night shifts as a ride-share driver and daytime hours as a diner waitress. Every exhausting drive, every sore muscle, was for her 5-year-old son, Liam, the joy of her world with his adorable freckles, bright blue eyes that sparkled with mischief, and a mop of curly brown hair. He adored dinosaurs and bedtime tales of rocket adventures. She pulled up to the hotel's radiant entrance, where guests in glamorous gowns and sharp tuxedos huddled under golden lights, umbrellas aloft, their laughter echoing off marble columns. Her eyes swept the crowd, landing on a man standing apart, tall and athletic, with broad shoulders that filled out his dark suit, a chiseled jawline shadowed by stubble, piercing gray eyes rimmed with fatigue but sharp, and tousled dark hair damp from the rain. He clutched a glass, staring at the pavement as if it had betrayed him. She checked the name, Connor H. Rolling down the window, she called over the storm, "Are you Connor?" He glanced up, his handsome features steady despite the redness in his eyes, and without a word, slid into the car, closing the door with a thud. "Just get me home," he muttered, his deep voice carrying a hint of exhaustion. Ava nodded, "Sure thing." The app displayed the destination, an elite neighborhood perched in the hills, a place she'd never ventured. They drove in silence, the city blurring past in rain-streaked reflections on the windows. After a stretch, his voice pierced the quiet, "Do you ever feel like everyone's just pretending? Like no one cares unless they get something out of it?" Ava glanced at him, noting the vulnerability etching his chiseled features. "More often than you'd think," she replied. "I drive strangers all night, most don't even glance my way, but I keep going. My kid needs the lights on. That's real." He paused. "What's his name?" "Liam. He's 5. That's a great age, kids still believe in the good stuff." "He does," she said softly, her radiant smile flickering in the mirror. "I'm fighting to keep it that way." Connor leaned his head against the window, his muscular frame relaxing slightly. "Must be nice being needed for who you are." She studied him briefly, polished and expensive, yet hollow, like a man with the world at his feet but no peace in his heart. Unbeknownst to her, he was Connor Hayes, CEO of a skyrocketing tech empire. To Ava, he was just a weary soul needing a safe ride home. The rain intensified as they climbed the winding roads to the hills, the wipers struggling against the deluge. Ava's mind wandered to Liam, tucked in bed with his stuffed T-Rex, her neighbor babysitting for the night. She pushed aside the fatigue pulling at her toned limbs, focusing on the slick pavement. Connor shifted in the car, his broad shoulders slumping further. "You ever wonder if it's all worth it?" he murmured, his piercing gray eyes meeting hers for the first time. "The grind, the masks we wear." Ava's hazel eyes softened with empathy. "Every day. But then Liam hugs me in the morning, and it resets everything." He nodded slowly, his chiseled jaw tightening as if her words struck a chord. The silence returned, comfortable now, broken only by the rhythmic thrum of rain. When they arrived at the sleek gates of a modern glass and stone mansion nestled in the hills, Ava eased to a stop. She turned, finding him fast asleep, his chiseled jaw slack, mouth slightly open, one arm draped across his lap. His athletic build looked vulnerable in repose, the suit rumpled, revealing a man beneath the polished exterior. She hesitated. Wake him? The rain hammered down, and pity stirred in her chest. Instead, she reached for her faded denim jacket from the back seat and gently draped it over his broad chest, the fabric contrasting his expensive attire. Stepping into the torrent, her blonde waves quickly sodden, she approached the intercom, pressing the button with a shiver. A formal voice crackled, "Yes. I brought Mr. Hayes home. He's asleep in the car, could someone help?" "Right away." Moments later, a uniformed man hurried down with an umbrella, his face professional but kind. Ava opened the door. "He's okay, just worn out." The man nodded, assisting Connor inside with careful efficiency. Ava returned to the driver's seat, rain dripping from her sleeves onto her slim hourglass frame, and drove into the night, her hazel eyes reflecting on the encounter. She never probed his identity or empire. To her, he was simply a man deserving kindness, and that sufficed. The drive home felt longer, her thoughts lingering on his hollow gaze. Little did she know, this fleeting act would pull her into a world of glamour and heartache she never imagined. Connor Hayes awoke to the aroma of fresh linen and the gentle patter of rain on his expansive glass bedroom panels. His head throbbed, mouth parched, the gala's haze of loud music and hollow chats lingered. Sitting up in the gray dawn light, he spotted a folded denim jacket on the bench, not his. Beside it, a note in neat, slanted script, "Got you home safe. No extra charge. Sleep well. Ava T." Connor stared, touched by the unassuming gesture. In his world, vulnerability invited exploitation, this woman offered only compassion. That morning, still stirred, he checked the app, Ava Thompson, 5 stars, modest profile. A spark ignited, curiosity, or something deeper. He tasked his assistant with discreetly learning more, his piercing gray eyes narrowing with determination. What he didn't expect was how one simple note would unravel his guarded heart, leading him back to her doorstep, and into a storm of emotions he couldn't control. Spread the inspiration, share this video with someone who needs a reminder that love can start in the rain. The morning sun filtered through the diner's worn blinds, casting golden streaks across the cracked linoleum floor as Ava Thompson moved behind the counter. Her captivating hazel eyes, framed by soft blonde waves tucked under a brown visor, flickered with focus as she balanced a tray of steaming mugs. Her toned, slim hourglass figure, accentuated by her uniform, carried the weight of another long shift with grace. The scent of coffee and bacon lingered in the air, mingling with the quiet hum of conversation from the sparse morning crowd. It had been 2 days since that rainy night with Connor Hayes, and the memory of his hollow gaze lingered like a quiet echo. She adjusted her apron, her radiant smile flickering as she served a regular, unaware that her life was about to shift again. The diner door chimed, and Ava's hazel eyes lifted, catching sight of a familiar figure entering with a poised assistant trailing behind. Connor Hayes stood tall, his athletic build filling out a tailored charcoal suit, his chiseled jawline clean-shaven, and his piercing gray eyes scanning the room until they locked on her. His tousled dark hair was neatly styled, a stark contrast to the damp mess from their first encounter, and his broad shoulders exuded a quiet confidence. Ava's steps faltered, the tray trembling slightly in her hands. He smiled warmly, his handsome features softening. "Hi. Hope I'm not intruding," he said, his deep voice carrying a sincerity that caught her off guard. She glanced between him and his assistant, puzzled. "You're the guy from the hotel." "Connor Hayes," he confirmed, stepping closer. "Wanted to thank you for the ride, and this." He held up her faded denim jacket, the fabric folded neatly in his muscular hands. Ava nodded, her radiant smile returning as she took the jacket. "Figured you'd want it back. I don't usually leave notes, but you seemed like you needed a kind word. Her voice was steady, her slim hourglass frame relaxing slightly. Connor's assistant discreetly took a seat at the counter's end, giving them space. Connor leaned in, his gray eyes meeting hers with genuine warmth. "Let me take you to lunch as a proper thanks." Ava wiped her hands on her apron, shaking her head gently. "Appreciated, but I can't, picking up my son at 1 o'clock." He checked his sleek watch, his athletic build shifting casually. "It's only 11:30. Still need to finish my shift, head home, change, and cross town. They're strict on pickups," she explained, her hazel eyes unwavering, her tone devoid of apology. "You're turning down lunch with a millionaire tech CEO for a 5-year-old?" he asked, half smiling, a charming dimple appearing on his chiseled jaw. "I'd skip lunch with the president if it meant not being late for Liam," Ava replied, her radiant smile broadening, her glowing fair skin catching the light. Connor laughed, a genuine, rare sound that echoed in the quiet diner, revealing a vulnerability beneath his polished exterior. "That's refreshing, most would fake interest." "I don't have time for faking," she said simply, her slim hourglass figure poised with quiet strength. "Not with him." He regarded her anew, not the uniform, but her unyielding spirit, her captivating eyes and radiant presence that lit the room. "You're unlike anyone I've met," he said quietly, his piercing gray eyes holding hers. Ava's lips curved in amusement, probably a good thing. He nodded, turning to leave with a lingering glance, "I'll return this another time." She watched him go, lingering a moment, the encounter sparking a curiosity she couldn't shake. From that day, Connor's ride requests surged, far more frequently than necessary, each one a quiet hope she'd be the driver, and she often was. Ava never questioned it, she arrived, asked his destination, and drove, her toned limbs steady on the pedals. In those hushed rides, a bond formed, not lust, but a genuine rapport. Two souls from disparate worlds sharing authenticity. One stormy evening, as rain streaked the windows, Ava broke the silence, her voice steady. "He left when I was 7 months pregnant, said he wasn't ready. Came home to half the apartment empty." Connor turned, his broad shoulders tensing. "You worked that late?" "Had to, rent doesn't pause for heartbreak," she said, her hazel eyes reflecting resilience. He was silent, absorbing her strength. "Family? Mom died when I was 17. Never knew Dad. Distant aunt in Michigan. It's just Liam and me." Connor nodded, "That's heavy." Ava smiled faintly, "You adapt, stretch $30 for a week, cry quietly after bedtime." He listened, his chiseled jaw tightening with unspoken empathy. Another time, Ava teased during a short ride, "So, Mr. CEO, grand house, chef, helicopter. What's missing?" Connor chuckled, his piercing gray eyes softening. "Trustworthy people." Her smile faded, "Worse than no chef. My best friend tried selling out the company. Parents call for charity photos, not concern," he admitted, his athletic frame slumping slightly. Ava nodded quietly, the kind that said, "I understand." The connection deepened with each ride, their conversations weaving a tapestry of trust. One Wednesday, Connor suggested a detour to a park after a meeting, his gray eyes bright with an idea. Liam might like it, dinosaurs there. Ava hesitated, then agreed, her radiant smile returning. At the park, Liam's bright blue eyes lit up as he chased plastic dinosaurs across the grass, his freckled face beaming. Connor joined, his muscular build crouching to play, a rare grin breaking his stoic facade. Ava watched, her slim hourglass figure relaxed, a warmth spreading through her chest. Weeks passed, and Connor offered more than rides. One afternoon, as Ava drove him to a tech summit, he turned, his chiseled jaw set with determination. "I need a personal driver, temporarily. You. Pays 5 times your current. Drop the diner, be with Liam more." Ava's hazel eyes widened, her hands tightening on the wheel. "That sounds like pity." "It's not, I trust you, feel at ease with you." No pretense, he insisted, his piercing gray eyes earnest. Her throat tightened, she wanted to accept, but pride surged. Can't take handouts because you feel guilty. He leaned forward, his athletic build intense. This isn't pity, it's partnership. You're rare, see me as me, not a wallet. Tears threatened, but she held firm, feels too much. One question, when's the last time someone asked what you want? Not for Liam or work, just you. Her breath hitched, I don't remember. You've survived so long, forgotten your allowed desires, he said softly. Tears fell silently, her glowing fair skin flushed with emotion. The car stopped at his office, the silence heavy. Ava's mind raced as she dropped him off, her slim hourglass figure trembling slightly. That night, her phone buzzed with a message, think about it. No rush. She stared at it, the weight of his words sinking in. 2 days later, after walks with Liam and sleepless nights, she texted back, let's talk. They met at a quiet cafe near her apartment, no cameras, just two people sharing air. Connor's piercing gray eyes met hers, his chiseled jaw relaxed. Still think it's too much, he asked. Ava's radiant smile flickered, maybe not, if it's real. He nodded, a small grin breaking through. It's real. But as they spoke, a shadow fell over the table, a man in a dark coat, camera flashing. Ava froze, her hazel eyes wide with panic. Connor's hand reached for hers, but the photographer vanished into the crowd. What was that? She whispered, her voice trembling. Connor's expression darkened, his athletic build tensing. Trouble, he muttered, his gray eyes narrowing. And it's just beginning. Share your own story of a kind act in the comments below, we love hearing how it sparked change. Turn on notifications to never miss an uplifting tale. The cafe's warm glow dimmed as Ava Thompson sat across from Connor Hayes, her captivating hazel eyes wide with unease, her soft blonde waves trembling slightly as the aftershock of the camera flash lingered. Her toned, slim hourglass figure leaned forward, hands clasped tightly on the table, her radiant smile replaced by a tense line across her glowing fair skin. The air thickened with the unspoken weight of the moment, the photographer's abrupt departure leaving a chilling void. Connor's piercing gray eyes narrowed, his athletic build tensing as he reached for her hand, his chiseled jaw tightening with resolve. Trouble, he muttered again, his deep voice low. And it's just beginning. The words hung between them, a harbinger of the storm to come, as the quiet sanctuary of the cafe felt suddenly exposed. Ava pulled her hand back, her slim hourglass frame shifting uncomfortably. What kind of trouble? She asked, her voice trembling with a mix of fear and defiance. Connor's tousled dark hair fell slightly into his eyes as he exhaled, his broad shoulders slumping. The media. They've been circling since that hospital photo. This could escalate fast. Her hazel eyes flashed with realization, the memory of tabloid headlines, tech mogul's secret family, stinging anew. You didn't tell me this would happen, she said, her tone sharp, her radiant presence dimming under the weight of vulnerability. Connor leaned in, his gray eyes earnest. I didn't expect it to follow us here. But I'll handle it, protect you and Liam. Ava shook her head, her blonde waves catching the light. I don't need protection, Connor. I need to know what I'm walking into. The next day, the storm broke. Ava scrolled through her phone during a rare break at the diner, her toned limbs stiffening as she read the latest article, CEO Connor Hayes spotted with mystery blonde, romance or ruse. Comments beneath painted her as a gold digger or a fleeting fling, her slim hourglass figure reduced to a tabloid caricature. Her stomach churned, and her hazel eyes welled with frustration. At work, whispers followed her, colleagues casting sidelong glances, her boss's judgmental stare cutting deeper than the diner's worn tiles. That evening, as rain misted the city, her phone buzzed with Connor's text, "Can we talk?" She met him at the park where Liam played, the rusted swings creaking in the background, her radiant smile absent. Connor approached, his athletic build wrapped in a sleek coat, his chiseled jaw set with determination. "I'm sorry," he began, his piercing gray eyes meeting hers. "I should have warned you about the exposure." Ava folded her arms, her slim hourglass figure rigid. "It's not just the photos, people at work think I'm using you. My boss hinted I might lose shifts." Connor's broad shoulders tensed. "Let me fix this, take the driver job. The pay will cover that, and I'll manage the press." Her hazel eyes narrowed. "I told you, I don't want handouts. I've built my life on my own, Liam, and I don't need rescuing." He stepped closer, his gray eyes softening. "This isn't rescue, it's support. You're not alone anymore." Ava's breath hitched, her glowing fair skin flushing with emotion, but she held firm. "I need to think," she said, turning away, her blonde waves swaying as she walked toward Liam, who chased a squirrel with his bright blue eyes gleaming. The following Wednesday, everything shifted. Ava picked Connor up from his downtown office, her hands trembling on the wheel, her voice thinner than usual. "You okay?" he asked, his chiseled jaw tightening with concern. "No," she admitted, her hazel eyes glistening. "Liam's feverish. Daycare called, I need to get him after this." Without hesitation, Connor said, "Go now. I'll come with you." She paused, uncertain, but his steady presence coaxed a nod. They drove in tense silence to the brick daycare tucked behind a library, its faded sign swaying in the breeze. Ava rushed inside, returning minutes later with Liam, his freckled face flushed and half asleep, his curly brown hair damp with sweat, his bright blue eyes dull. Connor opened the passenger door without a word. "Let me drive," he said, his athletic build moving with purpose. Ava blinked, her slim hourglass figure swaying slightly. "What? You shouldn't, you're in no state. Where's the hospital?" She gave directions, her voice cracking. He took Liam gently, buckling him into the back seat, his broad shoulders steady as he slid into the driver's seat. The car moved with his focused precision, his piercing gray eyes locked on the road. At the ER, Ava disappeared behind double doors with Liam, leaving Connor in the waiting room. Hours ticked by, nurses called names, phones rang, the sterile air thick with tension. Connor sat motionless, her faded denim jacket folded in his lap, the same one she draped over him weeks ago. His chiseled jaw clenched as he replayed their bond, the trust they'd built. When Ava emerged, exhausted but relieved, Liam asleep in her arms, her hazel eyes met Connor's. "You stayed," she whispered, her radiant smile returning faintly, her glowing fair skin pale from worry. Connor stood, his athletic build towering gently. "Of course I did." Her eyes welled, a tear escaping down her cheek. "No one's ever done that before," she said, her voice barely audible. He gave a small, quiet smile. "Now someone has." The moment hung, a fragile thread of connection weaving tighter, but the weight of their worlds loomed larger. The next morning, a new headline hit, Connor Hayes plays hero with mystery woman's sick child. The narrative twisted, some called him a savior, others a manipulator. Ava saw it at the diner, her stomach dropping as a customer muttered, "Guess she's his charity case now." That afternoon, Connor invited her to a high-stakes partnership meeting at a luxury hotel, hoping to normalize their bond. Ava stood outside the conference room, organizing files, her toned limbs steady despite the unease. Laughter drifted from within, careless and cutting. "So, Connor," one executive chuckled, "is the blonde driver your latest innovation, mixing business with pleasure?" Another added, "If that's branding, it's working." Laughter followed, a knife to her heart. Ava froze, her hands clenching the folder, her slim hourglass figure rigid with humiliation. She waited until the meeting ended, her hazel eyes burning with resolve. In the car, silence reigned. She dropped him off at his office tower, nodded once, and drove away, her blonde waves hiding the tears that fell. That night, she didn't show. The next morning, Connor's calls went unanswered, texts unread. By day 2, he confirmed with the rideshare platform, Ava had resigned. Confusion turned to self-anger, his assistant mentioned the joke, and Connor's heart sank. She thought she was a passing interest, a temporary fixture. But she was wrong, and now she was gone. Connor sat in his car, the city's lights reflecting off the glass, his athletic build slumped, his chiseled jaw tight. Surrounded by wealth, he felt powerless, the one person who never wanted anything from him, the only one he couldn't convince to stay. That night, he wrote a letter, his piercing gray eyes blurred with emotion. Dear Ava, I've dreamed of mattering for who I am, not what I built. You saw a tired man, not a CEO. Since that night, life's truer. I miss your honesty, Liam's laugh, you. Forgive me. A second chance, not to prove, but to be worthy. Connor. He slipped it under her door, unaware that as Ava read it, Liam's fever returned, his bright blue eyes dull with distress, threatening to pull her back into a crisis she couldn't face alone. Moved by their journey? Watch to the end for the heartfelt proposal, then like, subscribe, and join our community of soul-inspired viewers. The dim light of Ava Thompson's cramped apartment flickered as she sat on the worn couch, her captivating hazel eyes scanning the letter from Connor Hayes. Her soft blonde waves framed her glowing fair skin, now pale with exhaustion, her toned, slim hourglass figure curled protectively around Liam, whose bright blue eyes fluttered with the remnants of a returning fever. The clock on the wall read 6:35 p.m., Saturday, September 23, 2025, the air heavy with the quiet hum of a rainy evening outside. Connor's words, I miss your honesty, Liam's laugh, you, echoed in her mind, tugging at the fragile hope she'd buried beneath years of survival. Liam's freckled face pressed against her, his curly brown hair damp with sweat, his small body trembling. The letter lay crumpled beside her, a lifeline she wasn't sure she could grasp. 2 days earlier, the letter's arrival had pierced the silence of her morning routine. As Liam colored dinosaurs at the kitchen table, his adorable freckles glowing under the soft light, Ava had hesitated, pouring cereal and feeding the cat to delay the inevitable. But with Liam napping, she'd unfolded it, her radiant smile faltering as tears slipped down her cheeks. His vulnerability, dreaming of a family for the quiet moments, seeing her as more than a CEO's shadow, mirrored her own buried desires. Yet, as Liam's fever spiked again that evening, her hazel eyes hardened with resolve. She couldn't risk more upheaval, not with her son's health fragile. She texted Connor a curt not now, her slim hourglass figure trembling as she tended to Liam, unaware of the storm brewing in Connor's heart. Connor, meanwhile, sat in his sleek office, the city lights blurring beyond the glass walls. His athletic build slumped in the leather chair, his chiseled jaw clenched, his piercing gray eyes fixed on her unanswered message. The tabloids had quieted, but the damage lingered, Ava's resignation, the hurtful jests, the distance she'd enforced. His assistant had reported Liam's daycare absence, fueling his worry. At 7 p.m., he made a decision, grabbing his coat and driving to her apartment, the rain a steady companion. The building's cracked sidewalks and peeling paint greeted him, a stark contrast to his glass mansion. He knocked, his broad shoulders tense, his tousled dark hair damp from the downpour. Ava opened the door slightly, her radiant smile absent, her toned limbs weary. Connor, what are you doing here? She asked, her voice cool, her slim hourglass figure blocking the threshold. Needed to see you, Liam's sick again, isn't he? He said, his gray eyes searching hers. She nodded, stepping aside reluctantly. Inside, the air was thick with the scent of vapor rub and anxiety. Liam lay on the couch, his bright blue eyes half open, his freckled face flushed. Connor's chiseled jaw softened. I brought medicine, pediatrician approved, he said, holding out a bag. Ava's hazel eyes widened, then narrowed. You shouldn't have, I can handle this. I know you can, he replied, his athletic build settling into a chair. But I want to. Let me stay. Hours passed, the rain a soothing rhythm against the windows. Connor administered the medicine with a gentleness that surprised Ava, his broad hand steady as he cooled Liam's forehead with a damp cloth. Her radiant smile returned faintly, her glowing fair skin warming as she watched. At midnight, Liam's fever broke, his small snores filling the room. Ava's hazel eyes met Connor's, a silent gratitude passing between them. "Thank you," she whispered, her slim hourglass figure relaxing. He nodded, his piercing gray eyes holding hers. "I meant what I wrote. I miss you, both of you." She looked away, the letter's weight settling. "I've spent years alone, Connor. Trust doesn't come easy." The next week, they met at the park, the same bench by the duck pond where Liam's laughter once echoed. His bright blue eyes sparkled as he chased squirrels, his freckled face alight with joy. Ava sat beside Connor, her toned limbs brushing the gravel, her blonde waves catching the afternoon sun. "This is where it started," Connor said, handing her half a sandwich, his chiseled jaw relaxed. "The day I breathed again." She smiled, her radiant presence returning. "The day Liam spilled juice on your $2,000 shoes." He chuckled, his gray eyes warm. "Worth it." He paused, pulling a small box from his jacket. Ava's breath caught, her hazel eyes locking on the simple gold ring inside, engraved with "one day at a time." "No grand gesture," he said, his athletic build tense with nerves. "I'll mess up, but I'll stay, through the hard, the messy, the unknown." Her heart raced, her slim hourglass figure leaning closer. "If you think I'll become some polished wife for galas and gowns, no. But if it's real, burnt pancakes, scraped knees, yes." He laughed shakily, slipping the ring on her finger, kissing her hand as Liam ran over, cheeks flushed. "Are we going home now?" he asked. Ava looked at Connor, then Liam. "Yeah, we are." Their bond deepened in the weeks that followed. Sundays at the park became routine, Liam's dinosaurs, Ava's unread book, Connor's juice boxes, and his growing patience with fatherhood. One Saturday, Ava found Connor at her stove, his muscular arms rolling up his sleeves, flipping lopsided pancakes. "What are you doing?" she laughed, her radiant smile captivating. Impressing Liam, he said pancakes need eyes and legs, he grinned, his chiseled jaw softening. She joined, adding blueberries and bananas, her slim hourglass figure brushing his. The pancakes, though imperfect, earned Liam's declaration, "Best space pancakes ever." Love wove through small acts, Connor tying Liam's laces, Ava saving him the crispiest lasagna corner, him lingering longer each visit. For Connor's birthday, Ava asked for his wish. "Don't celebrate, boardroom lunches, media stunts," he said, his gray eyes distant. She didn't push. That evening, he entered her apartment with streamers, a paper crown, and a lopsided chocolate cake with one crooked candle. Liam, in a party hat, beamed. "Liam insisted," Ava said, drying her hands. Connor stared, whispering, "No one's ever." "Not much," she smiled. "Everything." They slept on the couch, Liam between them, the scent of cake and warmth binding them. Weeks later, Connor invited Ava to his tech launch, a high-profile event. "Sure you want me?" "I don't blend," she said, her hazel eyes uncertain. "That's why, remind me why I started," he replied, his athletic build offering his arm. In a simple navy blue dress, her blonde waves loose, she walked in, not as an accessory, but a choice. The media buzzed, Connor Hayes mystery date stuns. CEO softens, she's the reason. Connor ignored it, but Ava teased over the woman who changed the coldest man, famous again. He smiled, not for building, for who with. That night, Liam asleep, they curled on the couch, city lights blinking. "Happy?" she asked, her radiant smile glowing. "Thought I needed someone to sharpen me," he whispered, looking at Liam. "But I needed a man this boy calls Dad." She squeezed his hand, warmth sealing their future. The wedding was quiet, held in Connor's new backyard, warm, not grand. 20 guests, co-workers, Ava's neighbor, Liam's daycare teachers. Fairy lights twinkled, cupcakes replaced cake. Liam carried the rings, his bright blue eyes shining. Ava wore a thrifted dress she'd sewn, her slim hourglass figure elegant in simplicity. Connor, tireless, red vows, his chiseled jaw trembling, I've made money, but this is real. His mother cried silently. On the rooftop, city lights flickered below, Liam wrapped in a starry blanket between them. You happy? Ava asked, her hazel eyes soft. Finally home, Connor whispered, their hands entwined under the stars. Sometimes love finds us in quiet, unexpected moments. The end. If Ava and Connor's journey and romance warmed your heart, smash like and subscribe for more stories of unexpected love and kindness on Soul Food Stories. Hit hype to support. Your engagement shares emotional tales. See you next time.